being said, welcome to another Pokémon Horizons the series anime episode preview discussion and the special preview discussion. This time I'm revisiting the preview for episode 67 and the special preview for the next arc, Rayquaza Rising. So let's get to it. You're probably wondering why I decided to make another video for two previews I already covered. Well, I decided to address something that might happen in episode 67 that I did touch upon in my preview discussion for the episode. However, I did not give said something enough consideration or analysis. Or rather, I thought I did. But when I was editing my video on the special preview, I realized that there is a small detail that I overlooked that changes my initial assessment significantly. To the point that I then started thinking of a few other things that I should have realized sooner. Additionally, I saw comments pointing out the detail I missed in the special preview. Therefore, I feel that I have to revisit these previews to correct and expand the conclusions I arrived at. So the something that I want to address is, will Fuecoco evolve in episode 67, aka during the battle against Liko? In my preview discussion for this episode, I said that this could happen, but that it's unlikely to happen because the new arc promises encounters with Rayquaza which will likely result in battles with it. And given Roy's dream, Fuecoco evolving while battling the sky-high Pokemon makes the most sense, and it would be the most fitting way to go about it. Moreover, something I did not mention in that video is that this is how Sprigatito evolved. It was during a battle with Rayquaza, so they might do the same thing again, though they might also opt not to in order to avoid the repetition. So yeah, I concluded that it's unlikely Fuecoco will evolve in episode 67, especially since this would make it quite difficult for Liko to win or for the battle to end in a draw, which are the two most desired and plausible outcomes. However, a wrench was thrown into my conclusion when I edited my video on the special preview, since I realized that if you look closely here, you can see Crocalor, meaning that Fuecoco will evolve before Liko and friends get to Kitakami, giving us a time frame for his evolution. This makes him evolving in episode 67 more likely. Not guaranteed, mind you, since we don't know how many episodes it will take them to reach Kitakami. But if they get there in just a couple of episodes into the new arc, then it is basically a given that Fuecoco will evolve in episode 67. Because I seriously doubt they will have a better situation for him to do so in the first few episodes of a new arc, seeing as arcs tend to begin slow. It then dawned on me that Sprigatito, another starter Pokemon in her first stage of evolution, evolved into her second form, which is of course what Fuecoco will do in the final episode of an arc, which is exactly what episode 67 is. This adds even more credibility to Fuecoco evolving in this episode. No better way to close out an arc than having a main Pokemon evolve. Though like I mentioned with evolving when battling Rayquaza, they could repeat the same pattern, sure, but they could also choose to change the formula. In any case, Fuecoco's evolution in episode 67 is much more likely than I initially believed. The final thing I want to add is that what I said about Fuecoco evolving potentially preventing a draw or a Liko win is another thing that may not be accurate. As several comments have pointed out, since Floragato will learn a new move, Fuecoco evolving means that both sides end up with something valuable, with a power-up regardless of the outcome. So win or lose, at least they get a reward for their efforts, which would alleviate the sting of defeat if one of them loses. If we still get a draw though, then it's a more deserved and powerful one, since it would be after both sides pushed past their limits to reach new heights. Moreover, I honestly underestimated just how powerful and meaningful this battle will be. It's essentially a battle between rivals on equal footing that want to prove themselves and get stronger. It's a perfectly fitting stage for such an important evolution. So yeah, Fuecoco evolving in episode 67 is definitely a lot more likely than I initially thought. In fact, it might just be inevitable. But yeah, that's all I've got. I always strive to make complete videos, by which I mean videos where I say everything that I want to say and everything that needs to be said. I am what you might call a perfectionist, so whenever I realize that I forgot to mention or include something important, or to explore a valid possibility, I always make sure to go back and make the necessary additions or corrections. However, this is tough to do when the video is already uploaded. I end up having to fight against the urge to delete it, fix it, and then re-upload it. I usually win, and when I don't, I just add a pinned comment that features the additions or corrections. This time, however, I deemed my mistake, my blunder, grave enough that I felt that a follow-up video is the only way to properly correct and address it. Hopefully I did so successfully. Please do let me know if I should do this going forward whenever I miss something. But that's the video. Please share your thoughts in the comments below and click the links on screen to see my recent episode reviews. I will see you over there. Thank you so very much for watching.